And welcome to the Stan Simpson Show, a program about Connecticut people and compelling issues, making a point to drop in every week. One of America's greatest recording artists is dead, but will there be an heir apparent to Whitney Houston, who sold over 170 million singles, albums, and videos, and recorded 7 consecutive Billboard #1s? We'll talk to our music and entertainment aficionados, DJ Buck and Linda Reynolds from Hot 93.7, and Eric Danton, the Hartford Courant's rock critic. Who do they think is the next Whitney? Then we'll wrap things up with psychologist Dr. Darlene Powell Garlington. She'll talk about coping strategies for anxiety and depression and why celebrities seem so vulnerable to self-medicating. But first, the queen of pop is dead. Who's next in line? Eric Danton, Linda Reynolds, DJ Buck. Before we start, we got to mention DJ Buck. I haven't seen him in a few weeks. The man is a whole different man. You've lost it. About what are you doing, man?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
You lost some weight?
Yeah, I lost weight.
How much?
About 60.
You're looking good, man.
Thanks, man.
Big sexy.
I'm trying to take the big out of that, you know. Just call me sexy.
Listen, Whitney, you guys were at the Grammys, at least, you know, Buck was. Eric went to Bobby Brown's performance. Linda once tried to interview Whitney many years ago. The issue of Xanax and Valium, when this story is all said and done, right now they're finding early reports that she was using Xanax and Valium and drinking. Will her death overshadow how she performed when all is said and done? Will that be part of her legacy?
Where do you want to start?
I'll start with you. You're the rock critic, Hartford Courant.
In the short term, yes, her death will overshadow the music. The long term, definitely not. Because you look at the album sales, you look at that voice, you look at those performances, those are going to be what lasts. You know, people eventually will not think as much about how she died and the circumstances under which she died. They'll think about the music.
But should her death be a big factor? This is kind of a cautionary tale, right? Someone said to me, it's a cautionary tale. What's the message here when you look at her life and her death?
Cautionary from the standpoint of stars have access to many more drugs than everyone else. Then there's also the point of she can get anything that she needs. I don't think she was actually helped completely as far as being clean and sober. She tried a few times, but I don't think it was successful. So that was kind of a demon that she was fighting, in my opinion.
Buck, you're in this element every day, seeing this stuff. What's the lesson to learn for entertainers? And will they ever learn? Is the reality that with entertainment, sex, drugs, rock and roll, that's going to be there? It's inherent, it's going to happen, and it's not going to stop.
I think it's the individual. It's always going to be there. And what we got to realize that these guys have all the money, the fame, but they're still humans. You know, we all have family members who go through the same thing, and we're no different from those stars. And it's control and just taking control of your life and the people around you, too. Some people say the people around Whitney brought her down. You know, did Bobby bring her down, or was she on this road before Bobby?
Let's speak because Bobby Brown, let's be honest, we all thought when they got married, people said, listen, this is not a good combination, and did he contribute to her demise? Your thoughts on Bobby? Is he getting too much, is he getting blamed overly so for her death? Because he wasn't there the last 2 years, he wasn't there Saturday when she passed. Is too much weight being put on Bobby being a bad influence on Whitney?
That's hard to say. The way they were in the 90s and early 2000s, I mean, he was there when she started to become erratic and when her behavior started to shift. Was he responsible? I don't know. But he was, you know, they were together. He was a presence. Is he getting too much blame? You know, I think that's hard to say in this day and age. They've been separated or split up for a while now. Right. She's had ample opportunity, or she had ample opportunity to kind of turn things around if she had been able to or had truly wanted to.
It was on her. Now, you covered Bobby Brown at Mohegan Sun. We had some video of that. What was that like, seeing him perform? Talk to me about his body language and how was he able to keep himself steady with all this turmoil going on? What was your first reaction seeing him perform?
Well, my first reaction was he didn't come out on stage when the rest of New Edition came out. You know, there were 5 mic stands set up, 6 guys in the band. What they did was left him backstage for a few songs, and he came out 4 songs into it to a huge wave of applause from the audience. Folks
were waiting for that. We have some video of that, Eric, of Bobby Brown. I think we may have. But so everyone's waiting to see how he's going to look, how he's going to sound. How do you think he did look and sound when he did come out? Was he able to keep it together?
You know, he still had that kind of bad boy air to himself a little bit. You know, shirt tails out pretty quick and, you know, untucked and this and that.
Right.
He mentioned Whitney a couple times, you know, said he loved her, said he had felt kind of out of it that day. But he's a professional performer, so there's a degree to which that's not going to affect his performance. His job is to get out there and be on stage and entertain the crowd, and no matter what he's feeling inside, he's going to be able to mostly tamp that back and do his job. At the very end of the show, when I think Michael Bivins had said, you know, Bobby has a lot of heart for being here today on a really awful day, it looked like Bobby was crying a little bit, like he may have choked back.
Hard to hold together when you had that going on. Let me segue quick to Kevin Costner. Now, the video from the funeral, I guess the family has put the clamp down on the video, so we can't show video from the funeral. But Costner, I thought his comments were the most poignant, where he said how insecure she was. Here's this big star who's starring in this movie, but he was surprised how insecure. Was she pretty enough? Did she sound good enough? I found that to be extraordinary. What does that tell you when a major star like that has that level of insecurity?
Most people are insecure to a certain extent anyway. And you have people around you who are always telling you things, but you don't, what do you feel inside? So we don't know what she was dealing with. I mean, it's kind of good that he came out and he did say that.
Right.
But we don't know how she really felt. Well, I mean, now we do. But
And the chemistry between Costner and Whitney, that was a heck of a movie. The Bodyguard was a great movie. The chemistry was unmistakable. There was great chemistry there between those two. We have about 15 seconds left. When we come back in the second segment, we'll talk about who the heir apparent is. All these up-and-coming stars. All right, so don't go away. When we come back, folks, we'll talk about who is the heir apparent. You're watching the Stan Simpson Show. Catch us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Who do you think is next in line to replace Whitney Houston? Don't go away.